The Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
The Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
Available wherever you stream.
Catch up on past interviews and episodes on demand now.
Subscribe so you don't miss any of it.
Look, there he is.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes,
we
we
got
can.
you. We got you loud and clear.
Okay,
look,
good.
let's get right into this. Our next guest is a member of the most excellent order of British Empire. I mean, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Justin Hayward, the Moody Blues, brand new single, Living for Love, available now wherever you get your music. You can also check out the lyric video on YouTube as well. Welcome back to the show, Justin Hayward. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you. Thank you, boys. Yeah.
Are you currently on tour right now? Are you in a hotel room or what's the...
Yeah, I'm in a hotel in Leeds in the north of England.
Oh, I love Leeds. What a rock and roll town.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
What the Who live at Leeds? It's a classic.
But you know what?
It's a classic town.
You laugh, but I'll tell you a funny story about Leeds. So one of my best friends, his name is Paul Hayes. He's on the radio nationally in the UK. And he was living in Manchester, but he also had a house between Leeds and Manchester. So he'd always be like, when you come down, I'm going to bring you to Leeds. It's a very rock and roll kind of town. You'll love it. And he brought me over there to the shopping mall. And I was like, this is the rock and roll that you're talking about?
Yeah.
So I always think of Leeds as the big mall.
Big one. Oh.
It's a great music town. We used to play the university here. It was brilliant. Yeah. But I won't be moving here. That's all. But I like this hotel room very much.
Okay. Maybe you can come out to Montreal. Let me just quickly talk about the new song "Living for Love." Of course,
Thank you.
you have written tons of great songs, "Nights in White Satin," "New Horizons," etc. to Tuesday Afternoon. Has your songwriting changed at all, or how do you approach the songwriting process?
You know, it comes out of a guitar. It jumps out of a guitar, I think, and something just fits together on a guitar. And once, how can I explain this? But once you start to see pictures, once you start to see it like a kind of movie, and it's cinematic. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
And then it becomes a song that you can get involved in. That's how it usually works with me. I struggle with that first bit until I've got a chord sequence, great, but lyrically, it has to be cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of songwriters we speak to. I mean, everybody from Desmond Child to, even the guys in Aerosmith, they always say, we always come up with a really catchy title and then try to write around that. Do you have a weird process like that aside from just a couple of chords, or do you happen to jot down like maybe a title or a sequence of lyrics?
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting that you say that. It's always failed miserably for me.
Really?
I've got loads of good titles, but it never works out. I think one did. It was a song called "The Day We Meet Again,"
Right.
But that's about the only one. But some titles are obvious. The Wildest Dreams, Tuesday Afternoon, I Know You're Out There Somewhere, and Nights in White Satin. I've been trying to explain it. It's obvious to me, but I've been trying to explain it for most of my life. Yeah, and others just won't come at all.
Yeah.
Clearly not. Question, you'd be hard pressed to find the word in the song.
Now, when you're writing, is it just you sitting there with the 335, or are you sitting with an acoustic? Like, paint a picture for me. Like, what's the scene look like?
Oh, well, it's always an acoustic guitar,
Right.
and it's between 10 at night and 2:30, and I get to that stage where I don't think there's anybody else around, and something kind of spooky is happening, and the strings just seem to fall into the right place, and that's where it is. Or the other way, like it was with the Moody's, is like, hey man, we need a song tomorrow, and the group would be like, oh, Justin's bound to have, he'll have something, and we'll just wait and see. So and it's like, that was it. And I did have something. Yeah, I always had something.
What was more creatively fulfilling for you? I mean, recording with the band live off the floor like that, or you in that isolation period of, just you and the guitar and just being able to write and not have anybody kind of over your shoulder?
Well, I'm the group member from hell, so because I know what everybody should be playing before they play it. So I spend the whole 3 hours like, oh no, it goes like this. No, it's on the hi-hat. No, it isn't.
You were the taskmaster.
But it is frustrating sometimes to get that idea that's in your head on the paper. I forget if it was Aristotle or Plato who had said that, but to get what you see on your head onto the canvas is not always simple.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, we're talking about as if it's something incredibly mystic here, but really it's quite trivial.
It's the allegory of the cave, of course.
Yes.
But
no, let me say this though. Yes, I was the group member from hell when I was down there getting the backing track. I don't have to do that anymore because it's just me, and I'm putting my own groove to it. But when I was invited, we were never invited in the control room until it's like the end of In Search of the Lost Chord.
Really?
But when I was invited into the control room, what they did up there, and they play it back, and I thought, oh, that's brilliant. What did you do? Like I was thinking it was shit. Then what was that? Kind of thing. Well, I wasn't thinking it was shit, but there was something that they did, some glue that they put on. It's like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, when it's mixed and mastered, you hear it back, you're like, oh, I guess that performance wasn't as out of time as I thought.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How have you changed over the years in terms of the new technology? Because you started recording back in the 60s. It was very, very different. Do you embrace the technologies? Do you keep your iPhone near you to get lyrics in there and get ideas? And do you want the Pro Tools and the this and that? Or do you still like the sort of the organic way of, I get in the studio, turn on the mics, let's go?
I like both of those things because they're both enlightening. Okay. And I have to keep with the technology and move with it. I mean, the invention of the Mellotron was a great step forward. The Lindrum was massive, massive for every guitar player.
Yeah, really.
And my demos, I mean, the first demo at home I made with the Lindrum, I don't think the Lindrum was used, but maybe the bass drum was the voice. And but from then on, it's been like that. And maybe it's limiting. I don't know. Maybe it would have been different. But sometimes in Italy where I record, I go to a drummer's place and we go down there and do drums and bass. But I kind of like to do it myself as well. Yeah. And the technology has absolutely helped me. Yeah.
And when you're programming
I embrace it all the way, particularly virtual instruments and yeah.
And I mean, even back in the day when you were programming the Lindrum, programming all those like sequences and stuff, it's kind of the same way now working on the grid in Pro Tools. You're placing a kick, placing a snare, placing a hi-hat, It is, yeah. It's art as well. I mean, people like to talk about it like as if it's a bad thing, but there's a real art to programming.
It's enjoyable, satisfying, and when you hit that sweet groove, it's very rewarding.
Yeah. Talk about guitar gear a little bit. I mean, obviously you're famous for playing the 335 through the years, that beautiful red one with the big SPI. You've seen every type of amp come and go through the years. Do you feel like guitar technology has improved and elevated the game a bit, or do you think it's still sort of like it's just a guitar and an amp and it's what you do with it?
Well, I'm mostly an acoustic guitar player now. I always was. When I came to the band, it was always acoustic guitar first.
Wow.
And then the 335. But of course, on stage, we were two different bands, which was maybe why Mike Binder left. That's part of why he left. We were a recording band that had the kind of guitars and stuff up front and the drums back a little bit. Then we were a performing band we were all having to rise to the level of the drums. The big thing that's changed over the years is volume. I started off in the band with an AC30, and then I went to, a Marshall 100 watt. Then I looked at us at the Isle of Wight Festival, the film back in 1970, and I've got two 200 watt high watts, 4 cabinets. Logie has got the same. And Ray's standing in front of another 800 watts that Mike had for his Mellotron with his trousers flapping.
Oh, my God.
yeah, it was like unbelievable trying to fill these places. But then in the 80s, that as PA systems started to get more refined and better, then we could come down in volume, and then slowly, and acoustic guitars were able to be represented through the sound, through the PA.
Yeah.
I slowly came back to an AC30. So, I mean, it's been volume of hair and volume of sound.
So now this might be a stupid question because I'm only 28 and I've always been curious about this. I mean, back in the 70s, PA systems obviously weren't that great. Were you really depending on the stage sound to fill out the arena or fill out the hall?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. The PA was only at most for the vocals.
Right.
Wow. So it really was
drums.
that loud on that stage.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
And you had the wedges blowing right at your ears, too.
Oh, dreadful! Yeah, it's unbelievable sound. I said just now I could see Ray. I could see Ray's trousers flapping. You know, his flares. His flares flapping.
Talk to me about in terms of a singer, because I'm assuming you've gone to in-ears now. How much has that made it more enjoyable to have in-ears rather than these wedges blasting at your head night after night?
You just said it so much better than I could. you just summed it up in one little sentence. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. It's a joy. In-ears are a joy.
Yeah, and with the in-ears,
the moment they came in,
which brand are you using? Are you using JH Audio? Or are you using Ultimate Ears?
No, I use a really simple old system called Pure Tone English, and just a couple of little tiny speakers in there, and that's fine. I love that. There was a difficult period of a few years where some people in the group or musicians like, no, I'm not doing that in-ear stuff, so I still want my monitors. So he was trying to do both. So there was a lot of wincing, kind of thing. But
yeah, there's always going to be a battle, right? Well, it's always a volume battle.
You know, when I did those shows with Foreigner, when I went out with Foreigner, they had 6 different mixes that you could choose in your in-ear. So you could choose if you wanted to hear the backing or the drum. And you really couldn't do that back in the day with the wedges. That the wedges just blasted everything at you, and that was it. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. You've been there, so you know what it means. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm twice his age, so I've been around from the 70s, so I know exactly what. Hey, just real quick, since you were talking about all the big speakers on the stage and the big sound. Was the Moody Blues one of these bands that also had the faux cabinets, the empty cabinets, just to make it look bigger and more impressive? Because sort of Kiss did it, Van Halen did it. Did the Moody Blues do that too? Little theater of the mind.
You mean like a wall of speakers?
Yeah, that were empty. Just a big wall of empty speakers that the audience went, "Wow, look at that! That is awesome!" But you just went, "Funny boys."
No, it wasn't like that for us. No, it was. Okay. We were trying to get something. And also, you remember when we started in the 60s, the top of the bill would often be a light show. Yeah. Not the groups. You know, there was a number of people on. And I think most people were interested in dance, falling around and dance stuff with the light show.
Indulging in the psychedelics and...
it was a very different time. You had comedians opening, you had light shows, you had, juggler. I mean, it was just a different time. Quick on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Ultimately, it's sort of a made-up organization by Jan Wenner and stuff. But does it actually represent something for you to receive it? I mean, is it nice to have it? Or is it just part of the cool kids? I mean, talk to me. Is it an important achievement to have?
It seems to be the place where how can I put this? It seems to be the place where the kind of spirit of this. I hate the word community, but I have to say it that it lies. Okay. And somebody had to do it. Somebody had to be that thing like that. Yeah. And for the Moody's fans, it meant the world, to be validated in what they were listening to. and it was a great night. I enjoyed it very much, and we only had a few minutes because there was other people on that had a lot more time than us. But for us, I'm so glad I saw Mike again. Yeah. You know, Mike Pinder, and Ray had passed earlier that year. Yeah, but it was great, and I.
Yeah, no, it's just funny
great.
because.
Can I just say one more thing about that?
Of course, yeah.
To be inducted with Nina Simone.
Yes.
Oh, come on. You know, it's like, oh, my God, I'm in the same, I don't deserve to be in the same street as Buddy Holly and Everly's and all those, you know, kind of thing. It's that's the feeling that every musician gets in that.
Yeah, it's almost like a surreal feeling to be a part of that class, you know?
Yeah, but it's just funny. Yeah. It's just funny because we've interviewed many people over the years before they get in and they go, oh, that place, it's terrible. And then they get inducted and they go, you know, this is terrific. I love it. It's so good. It's nice to be, and it's just like, okay. But listen, not having Foreigner in there, not having Iron Maiden in there, whether you like their music or not, they have had an impact on classic rock. They should. But I'm glad.
Yeah. No, I don't want to interrupt you. You're very eloquent and you're saying it right. Yeah. And I'm going to say that now I get to vote for people to be in it. I get to tick a box. Oh. Everybody that's in it gets to tick a box. You know how they think. And every year since 18, I get that list and I think, are they not in there? He must be nuts. You know, like.
Well, tick a box for Foreigner and Iron Maiden the next time. Just real quick, Living for Love, of course, is the new single. Is this one of many singles to come? Is there an album coming down the road? Or is it just like, hey, I got a song. I want you to hear it. Merci beaucoup.
You guys are cruel. But every time I play something, you get to the end of playing it and then somebody says, you got anything else?
Well, yeah. Well, listen, you've been delivering the goods for 50 years. People have for 50 years been wanting more of you and the Moody's. Come on, that's a compliment.
Yes, I know. And thank you. There'll be some other stuff along. Yeah, I will. When it's good enough. Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of things on the way to getting something that I think is good enough now.
Yeah, and I think at this point
there will be.
Yeah, you want to make music that you personally like as well. You don't want to just throw something out just for the sake of it.
Yeah. Yes, I've got that luxury.
Yeah. Well, look, Justin Hayward of the Moody Blues, new single, Living for Love, available now wherever you get your music. Go check out the lyric video on YouTube as well. Pick it up. It's just fantastic. Catch him on the road as well. Visit all his social media and website for all the details on that. Justin, it was so great to meet you. Love talking guitar. We'll do this again next time.
Lovely to talk to you both. Yeah, lots of love. My best wishes and thank you.
The Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
The Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
Available wherever you stream.
Catch up on past interviews and episodes on demand now.
Subscribe so you don't miss any of it.